Holy shit, look at that guy on the wrong side of the highway. He's going to kill somebody.
God!
Hey! Hey!
What's going on? Joker wants to race. All right, come on, let's go.
Put your window down!
He wants something. He's probably drunk.
You're going the wrong way!
What?
You're going the wrong way!
We're going. Yeah, how did he know? Thank you.
We're going to be using aliases our next job.
Ooga chaka, ooga.
Hey, come on. Let's go, Captain Lindfors. Try again. Hey, everybody, is there a window open? I feel a draft. Wanted a kiss and call your mother. Oh, that was a good one.
Hey, prehistoric...
Well, hello, everybody. It is the Dennis and Andy Show on this fine Wednesday afternoon. Sunny skies until tomorrow when tropical storm, whatever the hell it's called, Debbie, whatever, blows over us with lots of rain. Looking forward to that, aren't you?
Yeah, Debbie Does Charlotte coming to us very soon.
Whoa.
Boy, it is New Comic Wednesday. Yes, amazing I got a chance to stop in. Been stuck at the DMV all day today. Literally got out of there 8:30 to stand in line. Boy, it was backed up. We had to be there in person. And anyway, was there till noon. But I managed to be able to got my books for the week. Very excited because we really, really wanted to talk some Deadpool and Wolverine.
Spoilers abound. We're breaking this movie down. First, Freighter 7, hello. And second is Richard Stanke. Second.
Yeah, see that? Wow.
See, let's do the Rich. That's first. That's second.
Oh, hello.
Welcome. We have been very excited for this. Andy and I went and saw it on opening night. We know you had seen it, and we didn't want to spoil anything. I stayed away from every spoiler. I stayed away from everything before we saw it, so I was very excited to get spoiled while we were there. And I'm like, oh, so many great things to talk about.
Now, did you go as far as to avoid spoilers? I mean, in the sense of not even watching trailers, Dennis?
No.
We saw the trailers.
Can't help that.
The trailers, yeah, but we couldn't help that. But that is literally as far as it went. I stayed away from, I literally disappeared off of social media. I didn't want to have anything spoiled. If anybody would start even mentioning Deadpool or Wolverine in a comment, I would just ignore it. I did it, and I'm very glad I did because I was somewhat surprised at some of the things, but just overall excited. Now,
we're quick, because Rich said I haven't seen it, so I guess seriously, we are doing spoilers, cameos, everything. So honestly, as much as we love having people watch, if you have not watched it yet and you don't want spoilers, I would take a leave and come back to this episode after you watched it.
Yeah, especially you're going to want to afterwards. That's why we said we gave our spoiler-free review, the reaction right when we got out of the show, and we gave it. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll ask you, so we don't taint anything. We always do our like a CGC comic book grade from a 0.5 to a 10.0 being mint. What would you have given this movie when you walked out of the theater, Christian?
I wish I'd remembered this because I would have come prepared. I forgot, and I love that this is the way that you guys grade it. So I would say that before we get to the CGC grade, just the traditional grade, I would give it a mint. But let's actually if I'm getting it slabbed and I'm having it signed by everybody in the casting crew.
I mean, that's good.
I'm gonna say it's it's an 8.5. I mean, nothing's a 10 for me. Like I'd have to think about what would be a 10, and I'm just reserving. I'll tell you the thing that was a 10 for me was a 2 hour and 7 minute runtime. After some of these movies, that felt like one of those Woody Woodpecker shorts that you used to see before the movie.
I tell you though, it didn't. 2 hours 7 minutes still didn't. That's still kind of long, but it didn't feel like it.
Yeah, right.
What did you give it? I'm trying to remember.
So
I know what I gave.
When we got out, we gave it. Now we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but out of the theater, I gave it a 9.6, which is near mint to mint. Andy gave it a 9.8.
Yeah, that's right.
So he gave it a mint. It's probably the highest grade he has given anything. Now, the interesting thing is I walked out of there. Since then, you have time to reflect on stuff of the movie. We're talking to a lot of people. And I started going through and picking out, okay, this I wasn't so fond of in this and this. And there are little things that I could pull apart that if I were to grade it today, I would probably do it as like a 9.2. But I said it was so fun when I walked out of the movie. Was the movie that good, or have we just seen so many bad Marvel Disney titles that this was like a fresh of breath air, and it was a sigh of relief that something this good came out? It was
a fresh of breath air?
That
is literally what you said.
Breath of fresh air.
He's so high on this movie.
I really am.
Well, in honor of Disney, he's just speaking like Master Yoda. It's all right. It's fine.
That's true. Now, we're definitely going to see it again. I've only seen it once.
Same here.
We want to see it again because I can now go into it more analytically. The first time, certain movies I'll go into with that mindset out of the gate. This one I didn't go into with an analytical mindset, so I need to see it again. It'll probably come down from a 9.8, but I still hold with that 9.8 because I thought the story was fine. I thought the performances were great. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. To me, it was, and I said this about other Marvel movies, but I'm totally mean it with this one, and probably would revise it for whichever one it was I said it about. But this was like a comic book come to life, and we can get into one of the spoilers out of the gate. Channing Tatum is Gambit. Come on. They went freaking comic book accurate with Gambit's costume. I've seen a few people online, just a few, post a picture of it and go, I'm sorry, this is why comics are comics and real life is different. This just looks ridiculous. I got to be honest. I disagree. I thought when he was lined up with everybody else, I thought he looked fine. But that could be that could be because I'm so into comics. But my wife didn't mind. She didn't go, that guy's goofy looking.
No, my wife was able to deduce from the context that he must have been trying to make a Gambit movie. So she got it without, being as in the weeds as some of us were. She needed the 15 years to forget about Taylor Kitsch's Gambit, and I think that worked. So now Channing Tatum can replace him in all of our minds and all of our hearts.
That's right.
So that was it was great the way that they handled that too, because everybody's talking about, being in the void and trying to save one more life. And he's like, or maybe I was born in the void and all the lives I didn't get a chance to save, so just the nod to it being in development hell. And look, I don't know that Channing Tatum in that costume works for a whole movie about Gambit. It was great in this. I loved it in this,
And that's the thing. In the context of this movie, it was great. I'm with you. I don't know, because you do have to take into consideration the rest of like the setting and everything. So I mean, if you do it right, like go back to the first Batman movie, the way they did the Joker, you know, Jack Nicholson in that movie was pretty over the top, you know, comic booky compared to Heath Ledger. But it worked in the surroundings of the rest of that Batman 89 movie.
Now, my wife, she's a Channing Tatum fan, and Gambit is her favorite character in the X-Men. She did not know that he was originally slated to be Gambit in a movie. So she's like, whoa, where did that come from? So we had to have a long conversation on the drive home. But she thought he was great, particularly the part about, oh, who's your voice and diction coach? The Minions?
Yeah, that was nice. And I mean, it's look, Gambit has always been far from my favorite character because he's like you know, it's like, oh, he looks cool and cards blow up. I think he's more than that now, but I was excited to see him. That's not a movie I was clamoring for, was the Channing Tatum.
No, I don't know. And I think that's probably why it was stuck in development hell, because as much as he wanted to do it, you could kind of see the executives going, let's just keep stringing them along with excuses. There's no way we're making this.
It's like, well, maybe after Magic Mike 3, maybe after Magic Mike 4, you know, it's just,
What do you think? So another one, and she was in a trailer, so this isn't a big spoiler, is X-23, right?
I thought that was cool. What I was going to say before about all that is that I did skip the last trailer. I made sure to not see the final trailer.
Okay.
There's only, I think I might have even said this on the show. There's only one time ever that I avoided spoilers in the sense of I turned off TV commercials. If it came on in the theater, I walked out of it. The only time I ever did that was Phantom Menace. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. You know, look at the reward I got for not having a frame of this movie spoiled.
That's dedication.
So I haven't done it in 25 years now, but I decided, I'm like, because I think I knew that X-23 was in it, and I'm like, I kind of didn't want to know that, you know. And
what
I didn't know what else might have been in that trailer. Sorry, what were you going to say, Andy?
Well, I was going to say what I was disappointed about, and I'm thinking it's real, and it's not like something somebody threw together in AI. There are photos, or basically online, of her in costume next to Hugh Jackman in costume, and I wonder if there was that and they cut it, because I was told that there is going to be a unrated cut, director's cut, whatever, and I'm hoping that she is, because when I saw those photos, this was before seeing the movie. But after seeing the trailer, I was like, no way, she's going to be in that costume. That is awesome. And then it didn't happen. So that was probably just a little letdown, nothing huge. But, you know.
No, I thought it was good to have her in it. And, you know, again, the context definitely needed to, you know, that movie was what, 12 years ago. I don't know when Logan was, but it was long 17. Enough ago that, all right. So it's not as long as I thought it was, but at the same time, you know, my wife kind of needed the context of being reminded who that character was, you know? So, you know, but I thought it was great. And obviously, there had been the rumors and the sort of the leaks from the set that Jennifer Garner was in this movie, which is fun, and I would have liked the surprise, but I wouldn't have bet even one penny that Wesley Snipes was in this movie. So that was a fantastic reveal.
Huge.
Blade was the one that knocked my socks off, because I had no idea, never saw it coming. I knew they didn't like each other, and I was like, okay, it won't even be on there. The cool thing is my nephew was with me, and, you know, he had to go to the bathroom the entire film. And he's like, Uncle Dennis, there's no spots to go to the bathroom. This is so good. And he sat there, but he goes, I don't know who that is. Oh, that's Blade. Oh, okay. I don't know who that is. That's Elektra. Who's that? I said, well, that's Johnny Storm. And he goes, that's Captain America. I'm like, aha. So I had him for a 4-day weekend. So we got done. I was like, Jacob, I feel like you need early Marvel education. So we watched the Blade trilogy. We went and watched Daredevil. We started in on all of these movies so that he understood it. He goes, okay, Uncle Dennis, this may have been one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
So that brings up a good question. When you saw Chris Evans, what was your first thought, Cap or Johnny Storm?
I wasn't. I've done a few. I host a Marvel show for a network called Geekscape, and we've done a few of these episodes. Apparently, everybody except me thought he was Johnny Storm because I thought he was Cap. I wasn't thinking about it.
Same here.
No, okay, good. It's just us.
No, same here. Yeah. I on it because he had the beard. So
yeah,
it made sense.
It made perfect sense. And I was right there with Deadpool when he's like, he's gonna say it,
Yes, I gotta be honest. I really thought it was leading up to Avengers because they could have made it work where he said, even if he was Cap and said Avengers Assemble, just the reaction of Deadpool would have been fantastic. But when he said flame on, I was like, no way.
But he was in that pose when that thing where you could see Captain America standing there. And he's got that face. He's got his pose. He's sitting there and he goes, Avengers Assemble. And he goes, oh, he's going to say it. He's in the pose. What a perfect 180.
Well, it was the other reason, too, is when Chris Evans jumped off what he was on, he did the superhero landing, right?
Yeah.
Deadpool, of course, was like, now that's a superhero landing. Well, I would never picture Johnny Storm doing that.
Right.
But Cap
That's fair. Yeah, definitely Cap would. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I thought they really had fun with it. And to go back again to Jennifer Garner, sort of the exchange with Deadpool, he's like, oh, sorry about Daredevil. She's like, it's fine.
Right. Just another injury. Like my daughter didn't get that at all.
Yeah. I know, and like a joke about Hugh Jackman hasn't been the same since the divorce. I was just like, wow, this thing is really meta and it's kind of mean, which is great because that's what you want from Deadpool,
Well, and the thing that I took away from this, and I already know I got into a few debates with other people and like, oh, Deadpool this, and he shouldn't have been able to say that, and I was like, well, my take on it was, look, this version of Deadpool is. He somehow doesn't just break the fourth wall. He breaks the fourth wall in every multiverse. He knows every single thing that we as comic book readers or MCU viewers knows. He knows everything that we as a viewer would know, which I think is just fantastic. That's my interpretation of it.
Well, it's an important distinction because I think exactly the same thing. And one of the first panel conversations that we did on my show, Marvel Movie Talk, was, oh, well, how did he find out what the Avengers are? Are we supposed to assume that he went to a different timeline? I'm like, no. He knows who the Avengers are because he saw the movies just like we did. So he knows what we know. So Deadpool isn't living a life where he's it. So he's just going to go to Happy Hogan and try and be on the Avengers. And so he literally knows everything we know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's why he went for the interview because he wanted to be part of it. Right. I know how cool they are. I've seen him on TV. Yeah. Hey, is that Thor? Is he crying for me?
Wait, why is he crying for me?
I did love that, and I did expect the end credit scene was going to be the reveal of why Thor was crying.
Same here.
Yes, I did too.
Yeah,
I loved it. Though,
Ryan Reynolds will post stuff like, "I know why Thor was crying."
I know.
So if you follow him on Twitter, yeah.
There was that, when he pulled Hugh Jackman Wolverine into the time, TVA and dumped in there, and he basically is like, "Welcome to the MCU." Well, it's not the best time right now, or whatever he said was just oh my
God. There's a couple of questions that I had, and I know we were talking about it. The first one, there's the sling ring. So she's got the sling ring, Cassandra Nova, right?
Yeah.
And you pick it up, and when you first see it, it looks like two fragments of the Infinity Stones on there, which would imply that they would be taken from Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Or is it just a generic sling ring? Because we've seen sling rings before and they didn't have them, but they were on there. What did you take away from that?
Well, she said that a magician came in there and she killed him and stole that. So I believe that was a Doctor Strange. You know, we know not just from Multiverse of Madness, but from that What If episode, there's a lot of Stephen Stranges out there, and one of them seems to have found himself in the void, and one that probably wasn't that easy to get one that wasn't that hard to get rid of. So that's how she ended up with those trinkets. It would have been nice if maybe she also in the other pocket maybe had a few Infinity Stones, just kind of, you know, loose, not mounted to a gauntlet or anything, you know. But
the opening sequence with when they're doing bye 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 and he's doing all the dancing, was that Ryan Reynolds dancing, do you know, or did they have somebody else doing the dancing? Maybe one of the guys from NSYNC.
I feel like Ryan Reynolds would want to dance to that. You know, he would want to be a part of it. You know, I mean, that is the beauty of the character, is that you can very easily replace him. And what I thought about more for this one than even the previous two, there's one line of really bad, you know, looping ADR, additional dialogue recording for Hugh Jackman, where they have him say something, you know, to replace it. You can replace every line that Deadpool says, you know, as long as he has the mask on. You know, you can change jokes. It's very easy. I'm that mask is a godsend for editing, you know, because it doesn't even really move when he talks, you know. So I think I like to believe that it was him, because that he was invested in that scene and he knows those moves anyway.
Well, hate to burst your bubble. But I think the guy said it was on Instagram in March. This dancer that dances for other groups and stuff as a backup dancer, whatever, choreographer. I can't remember his name, but he basically got a call from his agent and said they're auditioning male dancers to do the bye 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 dance. How fast can you learn it? They need the audition tape like tomorrow. And the guy actually showed outtakes of his, because he basically set up his camera phone. You could tell he's in his living room or whatever, and he's practicing. You see him, you know, he's screwing up and stuff. Obviously, it wasn't the ones he sent in, but he kept them for this moment. And then they showed a behind the scenes where he was in front of a blue screen, you know, standing on an X, and, you know, the camera was right there and, you know, dancing and stuff. And then Ryan was asked, what's harder, the fighting or if you would have had to dance? And I think Ryan was like, oh, yeah, I can't dance. There's no.
Oh, that's too bad. I that would have been great.
But I love that part. I mean, it doesn't, like, during the movie when we first saw it, I was like, yeah, that's probably Ryan. Why not? He can learn that, you know, but it didn't take anything away from it, learning that it wasn't him. So
no, it absolutely doesn't, because, you know, the whole opening sequence, I was wondering how they were going to get, because Logan sailed off as one of my favorite superhero movies. It was one of the best endings to a movie. Tied the bow tight. I was like, he's done. How are they going to open it back up? How are they going to untie it? What are they going to do? Are they going to give reverence? Are they going to turn it into a joke? And the whole thing with him digging him up and going through it. What a masterful opening. I thought. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that it served a few things. One, it's important to start the movie that way because this is the first Disney Deadpool we've gotten. And I think a lot of people, when there were talks about them doing a Deadpool movie, there were those concerns of like, are they going to ease off a little bit? Is it going to be a little Disney-fied? Are they not going to be as all in as Fox was? And they said, oh, no, you know, we are absolutely going to do this, you know, hold our non-alcoholic beer. And we're going to go over the top. It reminded me, you guys will appreciate this, when the Wolverine Monthly was introduced in 1987, issue 1, they bragged that it had 125 kills. And it's a lot for a comic book. You know, Wolverine is on that pile of bodies on the cover. Yeah. And this is like, so I was 11 when that came out. So this scene spoke to the same 11-year-old in me who loved that issue of Wolverine. It was like, I mean, it was just so inventive, so crazy. Doing the Australian accent with his skull, because again, he's omniscient, he knows everything. And I was just like, okay, they wanted to kind of set us at ease. And I think they did it. And it just made me so happy that I long ago made the decision that even though the movie came out on his birthday, I was not taking my 9-year-old to see Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, no. Cammy says, and this is something I wanted to touch on, so it's great. Wesley Snipes' line that he is the only Blade was great, and a slap to the MCU for not giving us a new Blade movie with Mahershala Ali.
Well,
what's that?
Well, Deadpool stares at the camera after he says that.
And then Deadpool's like,
and he looks right at him like, what? And they digitally do his eyes where you can see him like, what? Underneath the mask. Again, they did it.
And the ultimate joke would be if we look back on that in 5 years and they end up not making that movie, because that movie has been very troubled, the Blade movie with Mahershala Ali. I feel like it will get made, I mean, changing directors and changing scripts is nothing new for Marvel Studios.
Oh, see, I thought I'll just go by his last name, Ali. I thought I heard he left it as well, but he didn't.
No, that wasn't what I had heard, but you know what? I that's not a project I keep. I keep.
No, it's not one I do either.
For so that's a good question.
This is me being a CEO at Marvel. The fan reaction to Wesley Snipes was so positive. We know Wesley's getting old. He says he still wanted to play Blade, and I love the fact with him tying it. I would say, you know what? They're rewriting the script for that movie again. Why not just scrap it, put that one on burner and say, all right, Wesley, let's do a send-off swan song for Logan. You. Do one of those great movies. Let's do something. I think the iron is hot. The fans are excited. Do that. Let Wesley, if he's up to doing it, let him do one final Blade one, but make it integral to the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, as it sits right now. I would say to do it. I
don't know a lot about Wesley Snipes. I don't think he can carry a movie, and I don't think he can star in a movie at this point in his life. Like that level. I think he was great in this. I think it was feel good, and what I'm looking at, what I'm seeing basically is that. As of December, Mahershala Ali was saying that he was encouraged about it, but I did come across an article that told me about this post on Wesley Snipes' Instagram, which I'll share the tab and then you can bring it in. But you see it right there. So he shared this, real Wesley Snipes, on Instagram. So the article was cancel Mahershala Ali's Blade movie and bring Wesley Snipes Daywalker into the MCU. And his post is y'all crazy, ha ha ha. But I think it's very funny that this is back in December. So, he knew he would. Oh no, I guess this is August 1st, 2024. I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing. December was the article. So, okay. So this was just the other day. All right. I apologize. Well, but still, it's funny. It's still just as funny. I just misunderstood the date. Yeah.
Did you see that Ryan has been posting on X, him and Wesley from the movie, and Ryan's like, we should give him a send off like we did Logan, or Marvel should give him a send off. Everybody retweet this and share it. Let's get the word out. I mean, Ryan really would obviously like it, but I can.
No, I mean, you could easily you can easily have that character, sort of get a send off. You can have, but I would say you do your Mahershala Ali Blade first. Let it, introduce him, and then maybe in his sequel you can do some kind of other thing. I'm not quite sure how it works, but. I do agree that the reaction to seeing Wesley Snipes as Blade has been overwhelming. It's a friend of mine that was, out of all the little cameos and surprises, that was the thing he was the most excited about, was because you just didn't expect it. And,
that one.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that on Blade Trinity, when they were filming it, Wesley and Ryan didn't get along at all.
They did not.
Yeah,
And
Andy, you know who I used to work for.
Yes.
Someone I used to work for did a movie with him.
yes,
And Wesley hated that person, and that person has nothing kind to say about working on the set with Wesley Snipes.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
supposedly on Blade Trinity, Wesley was contracted for 40 days. So on the 40th day, once he got done, he never came back. And I guess if you go back and look at Blade Trinity, now I haven't watched it recently.
I just did. So,
and there's a lot of shots in there, long shots, you know, stuff like that, where it's not Wesley, it's his stunt double. Because
Wow.
Wesley was like, oh, look at that. It's the end of 40 days. I'm out.
now on the one hand, that sounds obnoxious and that sounds disrespectful. On the other hand, don't sign somebody to a contract for 40 days if you want them there on day 41, you know?
Right. That's
Yep.
the thing. I can see both sides of it.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely see both sides.
Yeah,
And
business.
if they really wanted him back, what they needed to do was give him more money, and I'm sure he would have been there.
Right. Hey,
Just
hey,
don't
Wesley,
tell
we need
don't tell
you
the
for-
IRS that you were paying him more money. That's what he would have insisted.
Right.
yeah, I agree. But the cool thing was Ryan reached out because he had said after apparently that Ryan's like, I will never work with Wesley Snipes again. Period. Done. Never for any movie. He is the one that reached out to Wesley and said, hey, would you come black? And he's like, what? You're actually asking me? And they kind of made up. And they did the great couple of jokes right in there pointing it out, how they didn't like each other. So I look at it as a feel-good moment because in a movie, it's all together, but in the real world, yeah, they buried a hatchet and put together something great.
So another spoiler question. The spoiler part for people watching is there were a bunch of Wolverine iterations as Deadpool is jumping to these different universes to find the right Wolverine to bring back to be the anchor. Which was your favorite Wolverine? I figured
You can see it behind me. I don't know if you offer this to people as an audio, but yeah. So and
We don't.
of course,
It's all good.
Dennis knew that this is the cover to Uncanny 251. And I'm not saying that Andy did it, but Dennis referenced it earlier. As soon as I switched my background to it, that visual, I thought it just looked so cool. The attention to detail they had. But also, you know, seeing the Hulk in Wolverine's claws.
That just wasn't enough, though. I was really hoping for a little interaction between Wolverine and the Hulk in a scene together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, and I think
he throws Deadpool to the side.
Ryan Reynolds, I believe it was him, has said that one of the things that you see in that sequence is something that they want to do as another movie. And some people were thinking this Wolverine on the crucifix, but I'm like, well, it would make sense because you know Marvel can put Hulk in a movie as long as his name isn't in the title. As soon as Hulk's name's in the title, Universal has to get involved. So I could see them doing a Wolverine movie with Hulk. In terms of the most fun and funniest though, so I'm kind of hedging my bets a little bit, but the one on the crucifix was the one that blew me away. It was so funny to watch Age of Apocalypse Wolverine just beating Deadpool with his adamantium stump. That was the funniest of them. But
no, come on, the funniest was stubby Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
That was pretty funny. Because the crazy thing. Sorry, but the crazy thing is that. I've been lucky enough to interview Chris Claremont a bunch of times, and he mentioned that when they wanted to do an X-Men movie in the late 80s, early 90s, he really wanted Bob Hoskins to play Wolverine, from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And it's not an obvious choice, but when you think about the stature he's supposed to have, the demeanor he's supposed to have, it would have been interesting. I'm glad that we didn't get a movie until 2000 because Hugh Jackman's been perfect. But just to think of, if somebody could AI a Bob Hoskins Wolverine, I would watch it. I just would be interested to see what it would be like.
I think the only problem I had with the stubby Wolverine scene was he was too short. Like Wolverine is supposed to be like what, 5'4", 5'6", maybe
5'3".
5'3". Okay, 5'3".
Hugh
Yeah.
Jackman's 6'2", he's 5'3".
So, right. So he's supposed to be
Yeah.
5'3". That shot looked like not even 5 feet tall.
It was like 3 feet tall, yeah. And
Yeah,
by the
it was
way,
like
I knew that
Wolverine.
Dennis was going to be able to tell us what his height was, because
Oh,
your audience might not know this, but he has a photographic memory, but only for the official handbook of the Marvel Universe. He can see the text on every entry. He can just turn the page in his mind. You know, he could tell you what Kitty Pryde weighed in 1985.
It's true,
but it's not polite. It's rude.
You ask him, when was your wife born? Oh, I don't know. What's your anniversary? He goes, it's in my phone. When was Wolverine born? And he spits out the date.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Uncanny Hulk 181. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I knew when he was born.
But yeah, I thought that was. But now that I'm actually speaking it out loud to somebody else besides Dennis, that's another one where I bet they obviously did it on purpose. Like, yeah, he's supposed to be short. Hugh's way too tall. Let's really make him short.
Well, and the funny part was, I wasn't even thinking of that when I saw when he got down off the stool, right? He turned, I looked, I'm like, oh, it's Puck. That was my first thing was, oh, it's Puck. And then when he hopped down and stood there, I'm like, oh, it's little Hugh.
That would have been a perfect opportunity to give us Puck, but
I know
one day the Alpha Flight movie's going to happen. I can feel it.
I do admit the Age of Apocalypse probably got the biggest reaction in my mind out of everybody over, the 251 cover. And because I didn't know for sure, but kind of like with Jennifer Garner, there were the rumors of a Hulk Wolverine confrontation. Yeah.
And
so
Henry Cavill was very funny,
Yes.
Just saying that, we'll treat you better than those fuck sticks down the road. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah.
Now I read too that, and this rings, it's kind of close to home for me from a few weeks ago. It was a story I was telling Dennis about. Apparently after they filmed that scene, because, people not in the know, that scene with Henry Cavill was very short, but you're looking at probably at least one full day, talking at least 8 hours of filming to make that, right? Yeah. He got aggressively ill after smoking that much of a cigar for that long. And I was telling Dennis, I was at GalaxyCon with my daughter a few weekends ago, and a buddy of ours came out one night, and him and I hung out right outside the hotel. And he brought a cigar, and I only smoke a cigar maybe 3 or 4 times a year at conventions. Well, the damn thing would not stay lit. So to keep it, to try to keep it lit, I just kept hitting it. Right?
Oh no!
I didn't know you could get basically a nicotine buzz to the extent I don't sweat. Like, it could be 100 degrees in this room. He'd be dripping sweat, and I'd be like, yeah, it's hot, but I would not sweat. Dude, that nicotine buzz, I was drenched in sweat. I felt nauseous. And the guy that brought it to me used to work at a tobacco thing, whatever, cigar thing. And he's like, oh, yeah. He goes, and I never even knew this. And I asked him if he knew it. And he's like, oh, I never heard that before. He's like, yeah, you're only supposed to take a drag on a cigar like maybe once a minute to avoid that. So you don't want to be constantly to keep it lit like I was doing. And I'm like, well, now I know. And he brought a pretty strong cigar. He goes, plus I brought a couple strong cigars. Next time I won't. And I'm like, that would be appreciated.
Well, you know, don't feel bad because you handle the cigar about as well as Superman did. So, obviously you're
That's
doing
right.
fine.
That's what I'm saying. I read that and I'm like, look at that. Henry Cavill and I would never go smoke cigars together, but we could drink. So
yeah. And I read something funny, a post from him. I think it was on his social media. He said, for this movie, I shaved off the mustache, but only the mustache.
Yeah. That's right.
So I thought that was great. Yeah.
But see, was that a surprise to you? Because
I had no idea. I wouldn't have even imagined that. Yeah.
Now, throughout the year, I heard Cavill might be in it as a Wolverine cameo, but I just kind of brushed it off. So seeing them, I mean, they did it great. Spoiler, they walk up from behind. Obviously, it could have been Hugh Jackman because you're not really paying attention to the build. You're just like, oh, it's Hugh from behind wearing a white tank top, working on a motorcycle. And that's what you're thinking. But you get that turnaround, you're like, what?
Well, I had heard scuttlebutt that Henry, they had talked to him, not specifically for this movie, doing a cameo, but it was, at some point, after this movie, Henry could become, and they had talked to him apparently about possibly playing Wolverine since he's no longer going to be in the DCEU. And was this his demo? That's what he would look like as Wolverine. What do you guys think? And I'm thinking, hey, if that's a thought, and Hugh actually retires, he's done with the old man Logan part, hey, it's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like getting John Krasinski as Reed Richards. I think it was just more of like a fun thing that there's no future for. But I mean, he wouldn't necessarily be a bad choice. He's not my choice to play Wolverine.
No, he's not mine. I think
the best thing about Hugh Jackman is that he was unknown. So for that reason, he's always Wolverine.
I think when that time eventually comes, I would really like them to try and get somebody that is honestly more height appropriate. Because even in X-Men, he was an unknown, but I can still remember going, yeah, he was good, but he's just too tall. Wolverine's not supposed to be tall.
My wife said Danny DeVito. He's 5'3".
Well, he's the Penguin though, so that's the problem.
Right. Well, you guys have heard the rumors of what's his face, Harry Potter there, right? Radcliffe. That's been floating around forever.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, I can't imagine that. It's like, why would you pay him what he would demand for not really having the right fit? When we're talking about Hugh Jackman and retiring, though, one of the reasons why he said that he wasn't going to play the role anymore is that he didn't want to get in the kind of shape that it requires to be Wolverine, and that's part of the reason he has the suit on. Now, I contend many people have disagreed. Not many, but like 4. But people that I've talked to about this, the final scene when he's got his shirt off and he's all ripped, I don't think that's Hugh Jackman. He's got the mask on, but you can also CGI his face on that very easily. But him wearing the mask makes it easier. I do not believe that Hugh Jackman got in that kind of shape for one sequence and not the rest of the movie. And they put him in the robe pretty quickly after that. So I don't think that's him. Hugh Jackman, come on the show and prove me wrong right now. Send him the link.
I think I'm going to disagree with you because one of the big scenes that they cut out was he was doing his war scenes. And this was the one thing that when they were arguing with Kevin Feige and all of Disney, they wanted to cut out, and he was really upset because he goes, it took 3 weeks of filming. He goes, it was all the war scenes, World War II, Vietnam, all this stuff. He goes, it was some of the bloodiest. But he goes, I didn't just have to work. He goes, I had to work so hard to get in shape for those scenes in particular. And he goes, it was 3 weeks of the most grueling shooting, the most tiring. And he goes, I had to be built for it. And he goes, and now they're not going to use it. Some of the best scenes that I've ever shot in any movie. And he was really upset about it. So my gut feeling tells me at some point, maybe not at the beginning, he had to really work out for all those muscles. So, we usually have a very active chat. Let me know what you guys have heard, but I'm kind of curious. So I'm starting to think that he did a lot. And I was just watching on the way over here from the DMV. We were
humble brag. You got to go to the DMV today, and you didn't take Andy with you.
No, dude, all day.
I was so jealous sitting here drawing at my desk.
God. I was so upset. And something popped up, I usually just turn on YouTube and watch something while I'm driving. And
that's healthy.
Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, they hosted the Jimmy Kimmel Show as the actual host. I didn't know that. So I am listening to this and on the way over here, and I'm thinking, I'm laughing my butt off. If you guys haven't seen it, go find it, look it up. I haven't finished it, but I was laughing, and they interview each other. one of the things he says, they show a picture of Hugh up there on the backdrop, and he's like all glistening with oil and stuff, and he's built. And they were talking to him, and he goes, I had to work my ass off in order to get that. And I was like, really? So another piece of recent evidence that maybe.
I think he probably put the work in for it.
Well,
you know, I really do.
I want you guys to be right, but I'm going to continue to be the devil's advocate. I'm going to continue to be the contrarian and say, well, this would be the first time an actor was on a late night talk show and lied.
Yeah. But, you know, and here's the other thing. Obviously, movies are shot out of order. We all know that.
Course.
But this could have been one of those things where it was one or the other. It was like, we want to get this done first. So get your working out in. Because I mean, there was the behind the scenes photos he would post about working out, and then Ryan would post whatever going back and forth. And it could be, look, we'll get this out of the way first so you can get off of that strict ass diet to be shredded like that. And the rest of the movie won't be as bad. Or they do it last. But the problem with doing it last is, you know, I don't know how long the shoot schedule was, but let's say it was 3 months. Well, then for 3 months, not only are you filming all this, but you've got to continue to work your ass off and be on this strict diet.
Yeah, and you never know, like, what was his schedule before this? Did he do a movie where it made sense? Or do they film that sequence? You know, do they schedule it for when they have to do just reshoots? Because, you know, people freak out about reshoots. Every movie does reshoots, you know, so you have it built in. So is it like, all right, so you'll have 2 months of not worrying about fight scenes. You just have to get in shape and walk into that room with your shirt off. So yeah, I don't know. Look, I think it's possible. It's just because he has the mask on, and
but I mean,
such a short thing. Yeah.
No, I hear you, but I mean, everybody said it. Like Chris Hemsworth, but Chris Evans, when he got done playing Cap, was like, I got to be honest, it's kind of a relief not having to work out like that anymore.
Yeah,
you know, and even between the Avengers movies and the solo Cap movies, he would, you know, he wouldn't just go to shit. But for other roles, he can't be Cap big, so he would have to, you know, basically slim it down. But then it's like, okay, we're going to start shooting Avengers in like, you know, whatever, 3 months. Hit that gym, buddy. You know, Chris Hemsworth too. But Chris Hemsworth has always been that fitness type.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. Absolutely.
So
yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know I popped up Christian, you know, if you look in the description down below, you will see that I've got Bladtcast. He's got a website. Yeah. I've got your Twitter and X on there, and then on your YouTube. So make sure if you guys don't, you guys need to get over there and subscribe to him.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, you can just Google Bladtcast, Bladtcast. For some reason, numbers come up when you post the link to it. It's like Bladtcast 3174. But it is a YouTube channel. Had a really fun chat yesterday with musician Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits, who used to be on the old Dennis Miller radio show. And sort of a surprise, comedian Jackie Martling came in for like the last 20 minutes, and they talked about working together in the early 90s. So you can find sort of odd, fun stuff like that. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of my Marvel content these days is on a network called Geekscape, spelled the way it sounds. And they have tremendous stuff over there. And we're doing plenty of Deadpool and Wolverine. And just as soon as I watch season 2, we're going to talk about Hit Monkey on Hulu, which the first season of which was a surprise that how I thought it was great. And I didn't know that character. You know, he's sort of a fringe Marvel character, but it's a great show, and I'm excited. I never thought they were going to make a season 2. You know, it was part of that planned Huluverse that they were going to do with
live action, or is it?
No, it's animated. So it was like, you know how we got the MODOK show, but we were also supposed to get Dazzler and Tigra and you know, Howard the Duck, and then they canceled most of the shows. Hit Monkey was the other one. And shockingly, they did a second season. But
it was good. So I asked because
I liked season 1 a lot. Yeah.
Okay. I never saw the season. I actually collected. I got Hit Monkey when it came out, you know, on the miniseries and stuff. So I own the Hit Monkeys, and I love the comic book. but I didn't watch the show. So
Now I got a question in the Deadpool Wolverine in the fight scene going up to try to get Cassandra Nova, where it was, all the cameos fighting X-23, Blade, Gambit, Elektra. There's this one guy, bad guy. He was a big dude. I'm pretty sure if I remember right, he was just wearing basically jeans and a maybe a flannel, something like that. He had a beard, longer hair and a beard. Is that ringing a bell? And who the hell was
I remember
because
seeing
I saw
something
that
like that.
guy. And Gambit was fighting him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who the F is that guy?
I saw this movie twice, and I didn't remember that guy until you started describing him. I don't know if that was a character. It could very well be, like the stunt coordinator, and they were like, "Hey, you should jump into the fight scene. It'll be fun."
I
it
just
could be
can't
somebody they
imagine.
know or
Yeah,
somebody they work
Captain
with.
Bithos says it was
Oh,
yeah,
well, we solved that. Thank you, Captain.
now we know. No, the reason. So the reason I would disagree with that is because one of the stills when the people were talking about the Gambit costume was him slugging this guy with a pipe or something that he energized, right? Mm-hmm. And I could go with what you're saying if the foreground action was like Blade, Wesley Snipes and a main character, in the background was Channing Tatum and this guy. But this wasn't a background type scene. It was a cut to, okay, now let's see what Gambit's doing. He did this, cut to this, and I'm just like, who the hell is this guy? It's like, oh, there was Juggernaut. Like everybody else, you're like, oh, there's Nightcrawler's dad,
Yeah, I mean, and he doesn't look like a Black Tom Cassidy or anybody. You know what I mean? It's like
I swear, if I remember right, it's like he was wearing jeans.
I saw a big guy in the striped shirt.
Striped shirt, yeah.
The striped shirt. That's the Russian. That's the character. Yeah, the Russian. He's from Marvel
he
Comics.
Just goes by the
I didn't see a flannel guy. That's why.
Okay, no.
I'm trying to look it up.
He had a beard.
Yeah, here I'll try and look him up because. See, well, here I'll just
do Gambit fighting the Russian.
Oh, that wouldn't work.
Yeah, no. Russia's a country we're still allowed to fight, I think, in movies.
Right.
It's one of the only ones left, but
no, this dude had a beard though.
This is the guy. This is.
I know what you're saying, but I'm saying try and find a script.
Well, you know what? You're gonna have to go and see the movie again, like you want to, Andy. But you're gonna have to be that. You're gonna have to be that annoying person. Take a picture of the screen just for that. Don't flash. Just. Oh yeah, I see the guy you're talking about.
Uh-oh.
There.
Did you do something? Oh, that's his
Russian.
There you go. No, I know what you're saying, Dennis, but I'm saying,
Christian, your internet's cutting out.
Am I okay now or no?
Yeah, you're good now. You're back now.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure what happened. I apologize. It's embarrassing.
It's internet.
Well, I Googled Gambit fighting the Russian, but
yeah, I tried to find it.
But no, I mean, obviously I will be seeing it again. So
yeah, so that's what I was saying. Be that obnoxious person who goes to the movies and take a picture of the screen so you can show it to people and be like, who is this guy? In fact, go to a con, and just have a picture of it posted. Like, tell me if you know who this is.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Bernardo said Kevin Nash played the Russian in the Thomas Jane movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy.
This guy. Was it that guy? No, that's what's his face? That's Kevin Nash. Go to what's that? Right there.
Well, you've got Sentai Ranger Danny in your chat wishing everyone a happy Power Rangers month. And that's the thing about Power Rangers month. It creeps up every year.
I know.
I never get my Power Ranger shopping done in time. A lot of last minute. Not finding the sales I want, but I hope everybody has a happy Power Rangers month.
It's the Russian. It is.
It is the Russian. Okay.
It is. And we found a blurry screenshot from the movie, and it was him. And then apparently there's a thing that says Kevin Nash reacts to being recast as the Russian.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't mind and he took it kindly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well, see, there we go. I'm glad. Look, I'm glad we got the answers to this.
I mean, seriously, when you saw him,
Yeah.
you were the same way. You're like, who the hell is this guy?
I didn't know who that was. So wait, so Dennis, you brought up who the Russian is. Tell us a little bit about the Russian. I mean, he's in the Punisher movie, but is he a Punisher character or?
Yeah, I think he was a villain from the Punisher. So I used to read some of the Punisher Unlimited. I've had the limited series. I vaguely remember him. I mean, this is something for me going way back. So big Punisher fans will probably know who this is a lot better. But there were a lot of them that were recast because Psylocke was in there, and had I not seen her using her Psy whip and stuff going back there, I wouldn't have even realized that was her.
That was Olivia Munn.
Until right now, I didn't realize that was supposed to be Psylocke. I thought that was a different character. So that actually makes sense. Yeah. And obviously we got a different Juggernaut. And I thought that it was great that they acknowledged it. Oh, you must be this month's Juggernaut.
No, that was the Juggernaut from...
But it's not Vinnie Jones.
No, it's a different actor. Same outfit.
Oh, that's right. It was a different
actor.
Yeah,
it's the actor that actually played the bulked up version of Ryan Reynolds in Free Guy.
Yeah. Dude.
It's the guy that played Dude. Yeah.
That guy was great.
That's right. I forgot. Well, I think Vinnie Jones, like Tyler Mane, even though, once again, it's been 24 years, 23 when they filmed it. You know, Tyler Mane as Sabretooth could still work because, Tyler's obviously gotten older, but with the hair and the jacket, he can still pull it off. I mean, who knows if the guy that played the Juggernaut back then, he's probably... I doubt he's in shape enough. He wasn't exactly a spring chicken 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Oh, look at we've got I love our chat. Joe Bernardo. Nash actually got stabbed in that fight. That's funny back then. Billy Clemens, 2 decades after the Punisher's release, the Russian can be seen in Deadpool and the Wolverine, but while he has the familiar red and white striped shirt, the character otherwise looks different. Yeah, and just like what we pulled up, he's blonde.
Yeah, he's blonde hair, buzz cut, like a Russian.
Dolph,
exactly.
The real Punisher, Dolph Lundgren's always going to be my Punisher.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, so let's wrap it up with what was your overall favorite moment in it then?
It's a great question. I think obviously money talks, but I feel like selling Hugh Jackman on, putting on this suit and being this character again, probably, he probably was like, great, fight scenes are fun. I think he wanted a little more. His scene with X-23, where he explains what happened and she's like, you don't have to talk about it. And he's like, no, I need to. Explaining why he wears the suit. And, they kind of did a tongue-in-cheek thing earlier and saying like, oh, are we going to have a Act 3 flashback, even like sort of telegraphing that. I still thought that was great. And just sort of the idea that, he's struggling with being the worst Wolverine and being characterized as that. So I thought that that stuff was probably the best. Just really getting into this Wolverine, and sort of even at the end, what's her name? B23 or Renslayer? No, at the very end, she's like, we can't go and fix that because you wouldn't be who you are. This would have never happened. We can't go and save them. And, that's part of who you are. And I thought that Wolverine that version of Wolverine gets a great arc in this movie. And I wasn't sure that I was expecting that. So I think tied into that, and Deadpool says it when he flips the mask up, that we haven't seen the whole movie. That's probably my individual favorite moment. And I loved a lot of the shout outs and cameos, but the idea that I would get to see a comic book accurate Wolverine in a very lengthy fight scene wearing the mask, even though this is not my favorite Wolverine suit. I like the brown one, like John Byrne. Yeah.
But you got to see it.
We did get to see it. I know.
Yeah,
I kind of like
that, which is important.
Yeah. So, Yeah, so I think it's not even that whole sequence. It's just seeing him put the mask on. I'm like, all right, that's what I needed, at the idea that I could have gotten an X-Men movie in, 1988. That's what I would have wanted to see.
Well, you know what it's funny because I saw online too that, people were like, hey, DC, look, you could actually give Batman white eyes without a problem. And it would look cool.
Or the fact that Wolverine can turn his neck. I love that because, Batman, always could do it. My favorite part was when it was after he puts it on, they're fighting, where they jump through the glass, through the back of the bus, and he's in crouched mode in almost like slow motion coming down like that. And then the Deadpool core, seeing all these different because I was a Deadpool fan. I collected the Deadpool core. Yeah. Seeing all of my favorite Deadpools, even if they're just for a few seconds, later on realizing the only real voice that I got Matthew McConaughey right there when he was talking. I was like, oh, but like Nathan Fillion, I didn't get him right away. No, I had to be told about that one. And then finding out that the kids were both Ryan's kids that were in there. But the dog pool, nice pool. I love that whole thing. Seeing all those different ones and then them having to fight.
Dude,
all of my favorite Deadpools was just awesome.
With nice pool, Fabio Ryan, and he gets shot and it's like, you don't regenerate?
That was a great moment. And my wife was the one who pointed out that Lady Poole was Blake Lively because I don't recognize her voice, So the fact that the entire family was in that sequence, I thought was great. But yeah, I mean,
I heard going in that Blake was going to be Lady Poole.
Right.
I was hoping that the mask would come off though, because it did in the comics. So it wouldn't. Yeah. If it never came off in the comics, then I'd be like, okay, keep it on. But because she actually did take her mask off in the comics, and she's pretty, she's not scarred up and stuff. I thought that would have been kind of cool.
I would say that's where it goes from a line in the budget that says cameo to having to pay her for being a star in it.
Well, maybe know the answer to this. So Matthew McConaughey, right? He was Cowboy, right?
Yep.
Now I thought he was there in the suit and stuff, but then I just read that he just VO'd it.
Yeah, that seems like the most likely way you can get Matthew McConaughey to do that. It's just like, I mean, it's as simple as just being like, hey, do you want to say this? And he explained what it is. He seems like a pretty laid back guy. I'm sure they asked him and he said, all right.
That's right. That's right. Oh, look at that.
I'm sorry, there's a hot take in your chat. Yeah, see, I just saw that. There's a very hot take in your chat.
Wow. Art of Roy. I am so sad. You are allowed to have any opinion that you want. It's just sad when you're actually wrong.
Well, let's have Art of Roy rank 3 movies, okay? Deadpool and Wolverine, X-Men The Last Stand, and X-Men Origins Wolverine. You go ahead and rank those 3 movies, and you tell me where this one lands. And depending on your answer, I'll decide whether or not I want to think about you ever again.
Oh no, Art of Roy's a good guy.
He is. I'm teasing. Yeah,
I know. He's a fantastic artist too. He's worth a follow on Twitter, X, whatever. He posts up some nice stuff.
Yeah,
but like I said, I'll see it again. I don't own a lot of stuff when it comes to movies. I don't even own Deadpool 1 or 2, but I'll probably buy this as a physical copy to own.
I feel like they'll take their time and put some good extras on this one. This is one I used to buy everything when it came out, but I haven't bought something when it's released on Blu-ray in a while. This is something I'd like to sit down and really explore all the features, and
that's why
I might even listen to the commentary on this.
Oh yeah, no. If there's commentary between Hugh and Ryan, real quick, something you need to watch. You said you follow Ryan on Twitter, whatever X. Did you see the video I just showed Dennis before the show? He posted. It's 5 minutes long, he's interviewing the lead actor in this new movie that Blake Lively's in, and it's a romantic movie. And he, you know, him and Blake are a couple in the movie. And all I'm going to tell you about it, because it's like this, it is so good for 5 minutes. I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay. I haven't seen it, so I'll check it out.
If the best way to find it real quick, go to my timeline, just scroll down a few because I shared it yesterday.
Okay. I'll
Basically, we've all seen the press interviews where you've got the movie poster, you got the actor sitting there in one chair, the interviewer in another chair. It starts off just like that. The two shot of the two guys with the poster in the middle of them. And the one interviewer's like, well, thanks a lot for your time, gets up to walk away. And the other interviewer walks in. And while the other interviewer walks in, which, no spoiler, it's Ryan Reynolds, the actor is bending over, like getting a water or doing something. So he doesn't see him until Ryan's sitting down. And then the actor sits back and he just goes, oh, God. And it just goes from there. And it is, I mean, Ryan is just, I think he's one of the funniest. So,
yeah. Oh, no, I'll check that out. That sounds great.
Yeah, go check that out. And then, guys, we also would like to say you should check out Kor-Drath, The Awakening by myself and Dennis. We're getting new backers, $49,744, just 500 or 400. Once again, I'm wrong. $256 away.
There you go. Yeah,
200.
You took your shoes and socks off for that.
I
man.
did. I looked down at my feet. $256 away from the first stretch goal, the Vordoom playable character card. So you guys, please go back. Kor-Drath, The Awakening. Once again, when we hit 50 grand, everybody will get the 7x10. Nice print, Kor-Drath or Vordoom on the front. The big bad of the story, 12 feet tall of undead badass. Playable stats on the back, so you can play him in the first Kor-Drath role-playing game or the new one that is a part of this campaign. So come over, check it out. The link is in the description below. Bud Root's back with a new cover featuring Adriana this time. We, of course, made a t-shirt out of it, just like we did with his previous cover from the first campaign. We've got preview pages up that you guys can look at to get a sense of what's happening in this one. Lots of stuff for you guys, the variant covers and such. Of course, I did the main cover. There it is. I did the main cover with Dan Lawless, and I did the homage cover, and of course,
I love that. I don't even know if you can zoom in on it. Go back to the Conan the Barbarian looking one, like with the box, like the old.
Dude, that's
Marvel
Conan
box.
#2 homage.
Oh my God, I love that. Now,
Thank you.
Now here's the question, Andy: is that a T-shirt?
No.
Maybe it will be.
Oh.
You never know.
No.
See if people demand it.
I'm hearing a request.
Maybe something to think about. Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe make the cover look a little distressed, like an old comic. Could be. You know, not a bad idea.
I'm sure Dennis knows how to make distressed staples very easily.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, I can.
I mean, look what he does.
You just switch them around. You just swish them around in your mouth for a little while and spit them out, and they look.
That's right. That's all you do. We got the Bud Root line art cover. We've got a full black and white edition of the book for the people that want to see just the nice line art and you can read it, all the dialogue. Same book, just in black and white. Of course, the new role-playing game Dennis wrote, Demise and Drakamort, with the cover by Bart Sears and Dan Lawless, the same creative team behind the cover of the first module, which you don't have to own, by the way. If you're just new to the campaign and want to get this second one, no problem. It doesn't, the first module doesn't really relate to the first one. So
completely separate modules, and it's a completely different story than the comic book itself.
There you go. We're now offering a CBCS signed and graded copy. We've had great luck with them. I will say it's guaranteed to be a 9.4 or above. So check that out. And a lot of nice add-ons. I'm doing a book called, as an add-on called Kor-Drath, The Layouts. It's all my pencil layouts for the whole book before I start inking, so you can see a little peek behind the curtain. Different versions of The Reckoning, the first book, a black and white manga version, and then a version a little bit bigger than that, which is in full color, but edited E for everyone. We went through and took out the couple naughty bits. So now your 12-year-old could read it, 10, 12-year-old. And a minifigure. If you want a Kor-Drath minifigure to play with the role-playing game, we've got the 2-inch version, which is the standard 24mm size, a 3-inch and a 5-inch version. And the collector's box, which if you want, you can go back all the way down here, how they list it. You can go back. Oh, that's the big box that has everything. You can back that, but you can get the Awakening box, which has all the covers, the game module, the Adriana trading card, all in this collector's box, which is shipped inside another box so it doesn't get messed up. But since I showed it, we've also have the Kor-Drath Ultimate Collectors, which is everything from the first campaign, including the oversized hardcover artist edition and everything from this campaign, all in the collector's box. So guys, go check that out, and let's smash through that $50,000
first stretch goal.
That's right, and 3 backers away from 700. Let's go there. And then we're also running, Christian, you might not have seen this. We're doing Kor-Drath, The Christmas Miracle. It's a children's book. Literally, Christian, this book would be safe for your 9-year-old to read.
All right.
It is no violence, no sex. I don't know if you know, but I did children's books for DC characters about 12 years ago, and I've always wanted to do something like that again. It's a simpler art style. It is meant for early readers, and if your kid is learning to read and you read to them still, you can do that as well. It's typical children's book, 1 drawing per page, nice block of text to read.
Teach your kids how to read it to them depending on their age. We have an activity book, and so you know what, you want to do the dot to dot, simple crosswords for your age appropriate children with that are Christmas themed. We also have simple word searches for
That's
them.
right.
And then it's the entire story in coloring book form, so you can read it, and then in the activity book, your kids can color away.
Throw their phone away, Christian. Give them some crayons and make them go old school like us. But Christian, wait, there's more. For the adults, we're doing an adult version of the book. That's right. I'll blow this up so you can see it better as I explain it. All right. On the left is what the page looks like in the kid's book. He meets this bear on his journey. See, the whole story is it's Christmas Eve in the Black Eagles tribe. They're decorating Kor-Drath and Adriana. She goes to give him a present, a nice wrapped box. And he's like, oh, wait a second. I got to go do an errand real quick. And she's like, what? He goes, no, I'll be right back. He needs to go get her the perfect Christmas gift because he forgot. So he goes on this journey and he meets this nice bear and gives him some Christmas cookies. However, in the adult version of the book, it doesn't end as happily for the bear. And so we went through, it's a 24-page story. We swapped out about 5 pages and are doing an adult version of the book.
Wait, can you zoom in a little bit more on that picture? Because I feel like in the image on the right, Kor-Drath is teaming up with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
He could be. Except
because I've seen what he can do to bears. So
I know.
What I feel like happens.
There's no Central Park. Do you get that reference? By the way?
do.
Oh, you know that story.
By the way, I am so glad that Kor-Drath is out there fighting the war against Christmas. Thank you, Kor-Drath.
That's right. There's no war on Christmas. And, we are running, so people know, an Indiegogo with it. This is Kickstarter. We're going to combine the funds to reach that first stretch goal because we know people will back Kickstarter only, which is cutouts, another activity for your child. It's on heavier stock paper. You go through the blue line with safety scissors for kids, of course, and you can cut out these figures and they stand up on your desk or nightstand or a bureau, if you will.
As a kid, I had an Empire Strikes Back set that sounds exactly like what you're talking about, and I had all the characters like stood up because obviously I wasn't going to be able to see the movie again, so at least I could look at them. You know,
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
And we've got separate tiers, but the best tier is the 3-pack. You save 10% on the cost if you buy all 3 books, or you can do the Kor-Drath kids and adult book where you save some money as well, or you could do the kids pack, which is the coloring activity book and the kids book, and you're saving money there too, buying it this way.
So guys, we have Kor-Drath for adults, Kor-Drath for gamers, Kor-Drath for your children. It's a Kor-Drath Christmas coming your way.
And the Christmas book ships in November, so you get it in time for Christmas.
That's important. Well,
Yep.
What I love about that is finding out about all of the new great stretch goals and some of the variations I hadn't kept up on. But more than anything, Ron Popeil has nothing on Andy Smith. All right, you are able to sell all of that. And before we wrap up, Andy, did you say your favorite scene in the movie? I know Dennis and I did. And did you actually isolate a favorite?
No, he did not.
I did not, because it's very hard for me to do that. Actually,
Yeah.
I like putting people on the spot, but
Well, good. I'm
I'll
glad
go
I turned the tables.
I'm not going to go with the sentimental one, even though I do agree that was I think what makes a movie like this really good is they do slow it down to that nice human moment that you were talking about with Wolverine. But I'm going to go with when after they get basically kidnapped, Deadpool and Wolverine, and they wake up and you get to see all the cameos. The kid in me was just like, you know, I could flash back to watching Blade in the 90s in the theater, you know, and then seeing Elektra and being so disappointed. But Jennifer Garner still looks hot.
She still does.
And that was awesome. And then, you know, I knew X-23 was going to come walking through, but they said 4. And when Gambit came strutting through, man, I was like, what? So the geek in me, I love that. I thought that was great.
I would have liked to have known what the Vegas line was before this movie came out as to whether or not we would see Gambit. I feel like that would have been a nice long shot. That would have been like 1,000 to 1 payout. So, and it was in the trailer, but you know, people talk a lot about Rob Liefeld, but the Liefeld's what was it? Just Feet. What was the name of the store that's in that sequence? Just Feet. The fact that that's in there and it was in the trailer, at least he can laugh at himself. I don't know if you know him at all, but you know, I only know him from afar. And his podcast, you're the one who told me about it, right, Andy?
Yep.
Observations.
Yep.
Those feud episodes. I actually re-listened to the Todd McFarlane verse John
Peter
Byrne
David?
because
John.
no, there's so many, but you know, and we didn't even mention Todd McFarlane versus Neil Gaiman, but the John Byrne one, because I'm just like, I just want to hear Rob read these direct quotes from John Byrne again. Because I love that stuff so much because you know, look, there's not a market for like a TMZ for comics, but I think Rob kind of gives us that, you know.
Okay, so hold on here. Art of Roy says if the Wolverine in, I guess he means
Deadpool's universe.
What's that? What do you think that?
Do does he mean Deadpool's universe?
I think he means Deadpool's universe is the one that died. Why are the X-Men still alive, or was that a future Wolverine?
So Logan is set in like 2029 or 2032.
Yeah, Logan's not in Deadpool's universe.
Yeah. Well, even if he is, it's the future of Deadpool's universe.
Right, it's the future.
Like,
because Logan is set in the future. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that one's, what is it, 10555 or something? I think that's something.
I don't know. You're the one with the photographic memory. We already established that.
Yeah, come on, Dennis. Yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with the different Wolverines because they were all different universes. So in one of the multiverse, whatever, the X-Men are still alive. But in obviously the main Wolverine wearing the costume, the X-Men were all dead.
I know we're trying to wrap it up, but were you guys surprised that there were no actual X-Men cameos, whether first class or original cast? I thought we would get somebody. It's fine that we didn't. I just expected it.
I was surprised. Matter of fact, before I stopped at the comic shop, and Tony, I love the guy. This is literally the conversation we were having before I came over, and because he had finally seen it, so because we couldn't talk until he had seen it, so we were able to sit down and really talk today. And I'm like, that was the biggest shock. No Jean Grey, no. Now the only reference to even First Class, he said, broke the fourth wall and mentioned McAvoy. I think that was the only spot that I remember in the movie where they even referenced that, other than Charles Xavier, the brother tour and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, there was, I expected to see a Beast or somebody.
Did you see, and this leaked out, not leaked, but somebody made it, because it first came out and people were excited. Then they were like, no, that's fake. They took a still from last year from a behind the scenes when they were filming, and somebody placed in James Marsden as Cyclops in the 90s era Cyclops costume with, the yellow strap, blue costume, yellow strap.
Well, I guess X-Men Volume 2, #1, like not the skull cap. You mean with like the...
You could see his hair and stuff too.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, okay, we're talking about the same one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that there was a photo. And it looked real. I mean, I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And a lot of people were, but then it was confirmed, no, that's fake. And I was like, damn it. And then a part of me was like, well, maybe they're saying it as a swerve, because if you can find it, the costume looked fantastic. Yeah, it was the Jim Lee version. Yeah, the costume looked just freaking fantastic.
Paula said Longshot would have been cool. Now, one of my favorite non-Jean Grey characters is Longshot, and I would love to see Longshot. And who knows? Maybe in one of the futures, if we get a little Mojo action or something in there. We got Shatterstar, so maybe that's it. A little Spiral. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, but in this day and age, it's going to be really hard to find an actor that only has 3 fingers. Because guys, you've got to cast these people correctly. You can't just get an actor and do makeups. You
don't want anybody with 5 fingers playing a 3-fingered
right. That is so.
All of us Vulcans live long and prosper stuff. We've got 3 fingers. Yeah, look at that.
That is so not cool.
Nightcrawler. Yeah.
All right, Christian, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah. So again, my personal podcast, the Blattcast, BLADTCAST. You can find our YouTube channel, and it's available as an audio podcast for those that prefer to put things in their ears. And as I mentioned, my Marvel content really lives over at Geekscape now. And there's also some tremendous content throughout all kinds of different fandoms that includes movies, comics, video games, which I don't know anything about. But for people who do, there are people who handle it there. And I do a show called Who Are These Broadcasters? Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the YouTube channel for Who Are These Podcasts. It's also available as an audio-only podcast. And we celebrated 1 year recently. I had comedian Don Jameson and E-Rock, who people know from the Opie and Anthony show. And I also did a bonus episode where I spent 90 minutes with Jackie Martling. And yes, that's 2 interviews where I had Jackie Martling in the last week. But the guy's got stories. He knows more jokes than probably anybody. So you can check all that stuff out. Oh, and I'm on Twitter and X, if you'd like to call it that, Christian DMZ.
There you go. Guys, we'll be back next week with Dave Brink of Genuine Comics, talking about his newest campaign. We are going to go see Borderlands tomorrow night. We'll be dropping our review Friday morning of Borderlands. And that's it. Until then, Christian, stay back after we sign off. And until then, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. And these geeks can go do their hand gesture someplace else.
Long and prosper.
Oh, my God. Goodbye.